Hey there, YouTube. How you doing, guys? Jared Fuller here. Today is Sunday, August 26th, 2018. Yeah, we're doing things a little differently. I got this trusty, handy microphone with me. I figured it would help distort some of the noise in the background, or at least reduce some of the noise in the background. But I am back. It is great to be back. There are a lot of things to talk about, obviously. So much to talk about. There are a few things I want to get out of the way first. There were three deaths that I didn't actually get to announce it because I wasn't here last Sunday. But we had lost Aretha Franklin, Robin Leach from the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous has died, and just yesterday we lost Senator John McCain to brain cancer. So there were three deaths. And it's been a very, 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 very busy life for me, which I'm probably going to use a good majority of this video talking about my plane trip, my first ever plane ride to New York. And I wanted to show you all this too. I'm wearing my I Love New York shirt. I purchased it at the Albany International Airport inside of the, what do they call that, the News Channel 13 Travel Center. For those of you who are familiarized with the Albany International Airport, I bought the shirt because I had told my dad, I said, you know, if I go to New York, there's one thing, at least one thing I want to get. And he says, what's that? And I said, I want one of those I Love New York t-shirts because I see everybody wearing those, you know, especially if, you know, people who live in New York. Or, you know, when they appear on, like, game shows and stuff, they wear the I Love New York t-shirts. And I have my official I Love New York t-shirt. So now I'm in with the rest of the crowd. And what you see on my neck here is a bracelet that Camden made for me. He made it for my wrists, but my wrists are too small. So I figured I'd just wear it around my neck. And I'll wear it. In one way or another. I'll figure it out. So before I get to any additional details and information, which I am so eager to desperately share with all of you, I want to remind you to visit GuideStar.org. GuideStar.org has a complete listing of legitimate 501c3 nonprofit organizations and LLCs. Don't be fooled. Don't be duped. Do your homework. Visit GuideStar.org today. Now, talking about my very first plane ride, which was very, very interesting. Now, I arrived at Detroit Metro Airport very early in the morning. It was 5:30, I think, on Friday, August 17th. And not knowing how TSA was going to be, which they tell you to arrive a couple hours early if there's, you know, if you're traveling within the United States, they call that domestic flights. And if you're traveling out of the country, then they want you to arrive 3 hours early. So I was kind of nervous about the whole TSA thing. I think, you know, many of my friends have told me that that's probably the most difficult part of the whole experience is security, you know, getting your luggage through security and you know, going through the protocols that they have set in place. But so when I arrived at Detroit, my dad couldn't stay because they had to leave. They had to find parking or whatever. I don't really know what the reason was why they couldn't come in and see me off. But so I go in, I got all my luggage, and I'm asking for help. I had my ticket printed off. They emailed it to me. Delta emailed it to me. And so I'm walking around frantically trying to figure out what to do. It's like, I have never flown before. Could you please help me? Could you assist me? And sure, you know, walk this way. So they have kiosks in the airport, for those of you who have never flown. They have kiosks. And what you have to do is you have to type in the confirmation number. And then what they'll do is, you know, or they'll walk you through it, and you have to punch in your confirmation number. Then it'll print off a boarding pass. And I still have my first ever boarding pass, which was it's just really cool. It was quite the experience. So I get my boarding pass, and I have to go to this, you know, I have to pass through TSA. Had to take my boots off, had to empty my pockets. I had to put my luggage flat on the belt so it could pass through the X-ray. Then I had to walk into this little enclosed area, and I had to put my arms up like this, and my hands had to be crossed like this, and there was a thing that spun around inside of the thing I had to stand inside of to scan for foreign objects. And they were kind of moving me along, and I'm thinking, well, this is my first time, and I'm not sure what to do, and I'm not sure why you're rushing me. But they were rushing everybody along. But it was because we wanted to get through this as quickly as possible, and we wanted to get on our planes, and we didn't want to be late for our flights. Because when they start to board the plane, they want to make sure that everybody is, ready to go, and you've checked through security and all that, because security can be a lengthy process, especially if you're carrying items on your carry-on that they may have some questions about, which they did. In mine, I had taken a big thing of toothpaste. Didn't realize I wasn't supposed to. I guess I should have checked the TSA regulations a little bit clearer. But she didn't make a fuss about it, which I was really happy and very relieved. And she just kindly explained to me, this is too big. We don't allow this large of a quantity of toothpaste on a plane. So do you want us to just throw it away? Or yeah, just toss it. It's just toothpaste. I can buy more toothpaste. So lesson learned, if I want to take toothpaste with me, I have to buy the little travel thing of toothpaste, which I can buy in the airports, I'm sure. So I went through all that, and it was an experience. And the TSA officials were actually, they were nice, and they were, and I explained to them, this is my first time flying, so you're gonna, just please be patient with me, and what I did was, which helped me a lot, is when I walked through the TSA, I was kind of watching everybody else. I was observing, like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I have to take my shoes off. Oh, brother, Some people didn't wear socks, and they're walking through barefoot. I had socks on. I always wear socks. So I took my boots off. I had my Jared Bear with me because I wanted to show Camden. And I had to put all my stuff in a bin. And I was allowed to take Jared Bear with me as on the carry-on. And so I'm just doing my thing. I'm watching everybody else. I'm observing. And okay, so I took my boots off and I did all that. And then after having gone through all of that, I had to find my gate. And I had to walk, feels like a mile, from one end of the airport to the other, because Detroit Metro is a huge airport. It's a colossally gigantic, enormous airport. And so what felt like a mile, I walked all the way to my gate, and I was pulling my luggage behind me, and I had my Jared Bear in my arms. And so I sit in the gate probably, I'd say, about 45 minutes. And then they announced that they were pre-boarding the flight. And so I figured, okay, I have my boarding pass. I might as well just get on the plane and carry my, take my luggage. So I had a bigger tote, one of the pull-behind luggage totes that you buy from the store. And my stepdad Jimmy allowed me to borrow his, which reminds me I have to return it. But the bigger one, which was his, they had to, they held back and they put a pink tag on it. And they said, well, this is a little bigger than we, normally allow and carry on. So we'll, just leave that here. And when you arrive in Albany, it'll be there waiting for you. Okay, cool. So I walked through this little hallway, as I call it. And I walk onto the plane. And we were packed in like sardines. So I think it was a commuter flight. But it was so small and so tiny, and we were packed in really, really tight. And I wasn't sure, okay, now how do I'm looking at my boarding pass, okay, where's my seat, And so luckily I found it, and I had a window seat, and the person, the person who was sitting on the outside, who had the aisle seat, she was really nice and understanding, and I told her, I said, I've never flown before, and this is new to me, and she says, oh, it's an experience. And she wasn't lying. So everybody got on, and they were going over the instructions on how to, where to find your oxygen mask, how to fasten your seat belts, the whole nine. They went through all that. And we slowly circled around the runway. And, okay, the piece of cake. So we're kind of just sitting there for a minute, and the next thing I know, the engines turn on. And it's like, okay, that's loud. And then suddenly he just floors it down the runway. And I'm like, whoa. And then the next thing I know, we take off straight up like this. And I'm like this, and it's like a rush come over me. It's like, whoa, And we were going up in the higher elevations, and it's like, no kidding. So I'm kind of looking out my window, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. I had to have been about 40,000 feet in the air. But when I look down, I mean, you see the clouds. We hit some turbulence, which wasn't bad. Not like I would have thought. People, before I even went and done my thing, there were some people who tried to make it sound like it was so awful. Oh, the turbulence is going to get you. No, it wasn't a problem at all. Turbulence it felt like a bump in the road, like if I'm driving down the road and there's potholes. It really didn't feel any more different than that. Turbulence wasn't too big of a deal. But I'm just sitting there, and I recorded some video, which you could find on my YouTube channel. I made sure I recorded some video, and it was quite the experience. I mean, I'm just sitting there looking out the window like, wow. And my ears, they didn't pop. I chewed gum, but my ears didn't pop. They just got heavy, and when we got into the higher elevations, I went deaf. The stewardess had come along and offered a complimentary drink and a snack, and I couldn't hear her. It's like, what? Huh? What? And she says, would you like a drink? Oh, yeah. What do you have for pop? And I'm thinking, oh, pop. She probably doesn't know what I'm talking about, pop. And I said, well, what do you have for pop? And she says, well, we have Coke. Okay, I'll have a Coke and a Kind bar, which is what they're called, which is granola bar and I think with chocolate chips. And it was good, I'm sitting there drinking my pop and eating the Kind bar. And she was, they were really nice. The stewardesses were nice, and the people on the flight were nice, and everybody was nice. It went very smoothly. When I landed in Albany, the takeoff and the landing, I've discovered, are the two kind of roughest parts of the whole experience, because when you're going at the speed, the rate of speed that you're going when you're 40,000 feet in the air, when you're hitting the ground, you're still moving, and you got to brake and brake and brake like there's no tomorrow. And it's like, wow. We kind of, when we hit the ground and we're still going, and the pilot, he's braking like crazy. And it was an experience. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't scared to fly, maybe a little nervous, but not scared. Because I had a feeling that it was going to be okay. Everything was going to work out fine, and it did. I'm back home in Michigan. I had a wonderful time with Cam and Brianna and Jeremy and Jessica. And if they're watching this, I wanted to thank you again so much for inviting me into your home. I had a wonderful time. And when I had to come back home, it was a tearful departure. Everybody was saying their goodbyes, and I kept reassuring them that, no, this is not goodbye. This is see you later, because I will be back if I have to get on another plane, if I have to drive my van, if I got to stick my thumb in the wind. I'm coming back for you. I'm going to be back. This is not goodbye. You will see me again. And Camden, I don't know. He's a sweet kid. He just had scans on this past Friday in Albany, and he's cancer-free still. So, yay! That really makes me happy. Camden, congratulations. I love you, and I will be back to see you again. I don't know when, but I will be back. Definitely. And it was a wonderful time in St. Johnsville. That's where I was. A lot of people asked me so you were in New York City. No, I didn't go to the Big Apple. I would like to visit the Big Apple, but I didn't go to the Big Apple. I was in St. Johnsville. I landed in Albany, and I was about, I'd say, an hour and 20 minutes away from Albany to the west. And it was an awesome time. A lot had happened when I was over there. It had thunderstorms, and we went and had ice cream at Parkside. It was really, really nice. It was an awesome time. We played video games. I kept taking power naps, which I felt so bad because I was so tired. I hadn't slept in like a couple days prior to that because I was so excited. And getting on the airplane was really exciting. A little nerve-wracking, but it was exciting. But I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to go back. I kind of became like a celebrity in that town, because especially around the apartment complex where I was staying. It's like everybody come out. You know, Jared Fuller's here, and everybody started coming out of the woodwork. It's like, oh, we want to meet this guy because Jeremy and Jessica talk so much about you. They talk so highly about you, and here you are in the flesh, you know. And yeah, that's me, you know. And it was a lot of fun. Brianna, she's 4 years old. It's Camden's little sister. She painted my fingernails. She wanted to apply lipstick, but I decided that would be the end of her dilettante cosmetic skills. No lipstick. I was nice enough, kind enough to let her put some fingernail polish on me, and it was kind of hectic coming off, but I got it. We're all set. However, I told her, I said, well, if you really want to put lipstick on me, I said, do it this way. Put it on yourself and then just give me a kiss on the cheek. So she did, and there was a little blemish on my cheek. It was just, I had so much fun. And you know, it's always nice when you can go somewhere and you feel loved, you feel like family, you don't feel like a stranger, you don't feel out of place, you don't feel as if the trip there or anywhere you go, when you're around people like that, you're around people who make you feel as if it wasn't a waste of time going there. And Jessica and Jeremy, if you're watching this, again, thank you so much for the hospitality. I'm sorry that my flights were so early in the morning, because I know getting the kids up that early had to have been rough. And I know Jeremy, he had to get up for work that day, and I do apologize for that. I know it was a rough go. But the next time I come, like I said, if I take an airplane, I'll make sure I schedule an afternoon flight or an evening flight. If I drive, I'll make sure I'll arrive, I'll leave at a reasonable time and try to get to you at a reasonable time. And, of course, I don't think I'll be hitchhiking. That was just hyperbolic language. I'm going to stick my thumb in the wind. But for Camden, I would. He's a sweet kid, and he put his head right here on my neck, and he cried, and he says, I love you, and I don't want you to go, and he hugged me around the neck. And I kind of got emotional, and it's like, it's going to be okay, Cam. I'm not going to be away forever. He says, I'm going to miss you. Well, of course, I miss you too. I cried when I got on the plane back home to Detroit, and it was an emotional departure. We had to split ways for now, because I will be back. Definitely. But I'm back home in Michigan. It's been a busy past week. I had written a couple of poems. There's one poem on my YouTube channel now. It's called The Warrior's Guitar, and I just wrapped up another poem for another warrior yesterday, which I will get that poem video on my channel ASAP, so be sure to watch for that. And I was contemplating doing that anti-bullying video that I talked about a couple weeks ago before I left. I'm kind of I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do it, because I want to do it with the intentions that people can get some education from this when they watch the video, and I want to share my own experiences of being cyberbullied by people, and the instrumental key to the video is going to be that you don't have to be a kid just to be affected by cyberbullying. That affects people of all ages. And I want to convey that message as clearly as possible. So there's that. And I'm still, wondering if maybe I should. But I don't know. You'll find out sooner or later. If you see a video on my channel that says cyberbullying, and I talk about that, so stay tuned. That's all I can say for now. But it's great to be back home. Yeah, drinking out of my MSU Spartans cup. And let's see. Yesterday was Saturday. Friday, yes, Friday, I was in Lapeer. I decided to take a drive out to lovely Lapeer, Michigan. And I hadn't actually ever been in downtown Lapeer before, but it's actually pretty nice over there. It took me about an hour and 10 minutes, hour 20 minutes, because it takes about an hour to get from here to Flint. Maybe a little longer. So it had taken me probably an hour and 10 to roughly an hour and a half to get from here to Lapeer. So it was fun. I just needed to get out of here for a while and kind of clear my head a little bit. And I had driven around Flint and Genesee County for about an hour after that. So it was a lot of fun. It was a fun week. It was a fun weekend. Although the weekend is still going. I don't know what I'm doing today. I think I was invited to a birthday party at Sharp Park in Lansing. I don't know if I'm going to that today. I haven't decided. Because there's a warrior that I wanted to see. I haven't seen him in a long time. And well, he's going to be at this his buddy's birthday party today. Well, it's a kind gesture, and I don't want to intrude or invade someone's birthday party, but I was actually hoping I could, see the warrior at his house. Not to sound too demanding, but, I've done a lot for a lot of people, and I shouldn't have to go through other people to see people that I want to see. No disrespect or anything like that, but I've been kind of dealing with that issue myself lately. I just haven't been as vocal about it. It's this idea that I've done a lot for a lot of people, and I guess I just expect to be treated a little better. Considering that I bent over backwards for a lot of people, and I'm not talking specifically about the warrior that I just mentioned. Well, I didn't mention a name, but that particular person, which if they're watching this, they probably know who I'm talking about. But it's not them. It's just generally and broadly speaking. I don't do it for the attention, and I've pointed that out many times. That I don't help people just to be noticed or because I have this thirst for attention or popularity and notoriety, but considering all I've done for a lot of people, I would just expect to be treated a little better. There's free-flowing hostility and disrespect in all corners, and it just becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. I've put so much of myself, I've thrown so much of my own life and my own time, my own money into helping people, raising awareness and such. I was never parsimonious about that, and I would expect some decency in return. I don't think it's too much to ask. Maybe even a simple thank you or a hug or a handshake or even a fist bump would be enough. But, I don't know. It's something that bothers me. I'm just not as vocal about it. Maybe I should start being vocal about it and get people to understand. And the reason that I'm not vocal about it, I'm usually pretty good at keeping my thoughts and my emotions bottled up. But I also don't want to present my problems publicly for people to attack. I really don't need to deal with the nonsense of having my thoughts and my emotions attacked, because that happens quite often. And as a matter of fact, there was a troll who got on here and said, well, you whine a lot. And no, I don't whine a lot. I don't whine at all, actually. I don't whine at all. I just expect to be treated a little better than what I do. And then he followed up that comment by, oh, you need to go to the dentist, you candy ass, and this, that, and the other, which proves my point about cyberbullying. And with even that being said, I just might go through with the cyberbullying video and point out the kinds of crap and nonsense that's happening on social media. It doesn't affect only kids or teenagers, whatever. It affects everybody of all ages. So I want to make that abundantly clear, and I want to convey a message. So, I still might go through with that anti-bullying video that I've been talking about. But anyway, I'm not going to give the problem people too much credit, because they don't deserve it. They don't deserve the energy or the attention. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm doing okay. Trying to stay upbeat and happy-go-lucky, and I'm doing my thing, and I haven't stopped. I don't think I'll ever stop. But here I am. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a Sunday video update, and I wasn't sure that I would remember how to do it. But I've had, I'd say, 3 years experience at speaking publicly in Sunday video updates. I don't know if I would fare well on an open stage, but all things considered, everything's good here. Everything's great. I wanted to kind of briefly talk about the cyberbullying thing for a minute. Cyberbullying, I have experienced cyberbullying on Facebook and Twitter. For those of you who know the story and know what's going on, I have been cyberbullied for a good many years, being on social media. I was on Facebook longer than Twitter, but I had taken so much crap. And the problem with that is when you're on a website like Facebook, you're on a social media site where there are no boundaries, there are no penalties, there's no one there to hold you accountable, to hold you responsible for your actions. So anybody can say anything about anyone, and there's no penalty to be paid, and there's no punishment to be had. Everybody can just do it. It's free-flowing hostility. It's not a safe place to be when it comes to having your name put through the ringer. But the problem is that, well, you shouldn't defend yourself. And then this group of people over here says, well, you should defend yourself. I'm just going to do what I want to do. The people who have said awful things about me on Facebook, and the people who are, I don't know what their issue is on Twitter, but there have been some minor issues since I've been back. But that's not my problem. I'm here to help. I'm here to encourage my friends, the people that still keep in contact and want me around and still want to hear how I'm doing, and I'm here for them. And, I support talent as well. I'm a talent supporter. So whatever it is that people have against me, I'm always going to go back to, okay, what's your problem and why? And if they are nice enough, or if they're adult or civilized enough to respond to my inquiry about what did I do wrong, maybe I can get somewhere. I can toggle a little bit and try to get an answer. And if I am presented with an answer, I want to engage in conversation as often as I can and keep it civil and try to understand where a person's thought processes are, because you had taken an action based on what people said, and that to me is dishonest. You haven't bothered to come to me and ask questions. You decidedly put the cart before the horse, and I want to know why. You don't even know what the other side of the story is. And I try to explain to people that it's nothing short of retaliation. People are pissed because I speak the truth on a lot of different things on various subjects. When I spot the obvious, I don't hold back. I talk about that. I mean, there's people on Twitter who, I don't know, they thought they were getting their gotcha moment and decided to share my video called Breaking My Silence about a fraud in the childhood cancer community. No, actually, you're doing me a favor, actually, because I'm so glad that the word is getting out. It needs to get out more. So thank you, Troll, for thinking that you were getting back at me for something, and that's something else. Well, you refer to them as trolls, Jared. You're bullying them. No, it's like this. There are such things as internet trolls. We have all, and I mean all of us, at some point or another, if you are on the internet, you are open game. You are fair game for internet trolls. Fake accounts, people who claim to be what they're not. We have all run into that problem. We have all been, we've had communication, or at least thought that we were communicating with actual people who claim to be what they actually aren't. We've all run into that problem. And when you're shown the truth, suddenly you're in this state of discombobulation because, well, how could that be? I don't understand how that's true. How could you not be who you say you are? No, Jared, you're just making things up to get back at them. No. And when I call them a troll or refer to them as a troll, that's not me being a bully. That's what they try to do. They try to deflect this on me to make me look like the bad guy, when in truth, I have exposed an obvious problem. And they don't like it because people expose problems. And, well, Jared, you're not so perfect yourself. I never claimed that I was, and that's where you're making the misconception. Because I'm not claiming divinity or perfection. I'm just saying that if you're going to get on the internet, this is what you need to be aware of. And if you're going to lie to people and claim to be someone you're not, I'm not going to be quiet about that, especially when children are involved, because we have this problem, and it's still ongoing on Twitter, by the way, if you're using Twitter. We have people who claim homosexuality, which I have nothing against that. I have friends who are homosexual and transgender and whatever, bisexual. That's their preference. I have nothing against sexual preference. However, I have a huge problem with pedophilia. I am totally and completely against it, and I don't condone it. And what's happening is you have people on Twitter who are using homosexuality to mask pedophilia. And I've had to point this out any number of ways. All you have to do is click on their account, see who they're following, see who they're allowing to follow them back, the adult content, not suitable for children. All you have to do is look. It's right there in front of you. It doesn't take for me to point this out. But of course, if you're not aware of this, then I'm happy to point that out to you. But all you have to do is look for yourselves. And instead of doing what should, be expected of them, instead they get mad at me and they throw a fit like a 2-year-old. Well, Jared, you're just trying to start trouble and blappity bloopity blah 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but if you're okay with your kid having connections with pornographic material on the internet, then that's your prerogative. I would hope that you would see this problem and do something about it as quickly as possible. And now that this video has been published to my YouTube channel, now the trolls and all the problem people are going to use this to their advantage, and they're going to try to use this against me. And of course, with people who they religiously use the internet, platforms like Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, people believe everything they see on the internet. They believe everything they are told. They're so convinced that the things that they see and hear on the internet are true. And it's another key cornerstone point that I have to address if, in fact, I do decide to make the anti-bullying video, because things have got to change. Things have got to change. The bad guys are being defended, and the people who are decent and looking out in a person's best interest, we're the ones who are being treated like the bad guys. It's totally and completely backwards. And I'm trying to, in any way I can, alleviate the problem. I'm friends with lots of people, and they see what I post and they see what I talk about. And there are people who are wise enough not to listen to the gossip. And they say, well, Jared is this and Jared is that. Well, I'm friends with Jared. I've been talking with Jared for a long time. I don't see where you're getting all this. And if you're going to make a claim about him, you better have some evidence to back it up. And that's also another issue that, people don't, they think they're justified in believing things without evidence, which I find to be, just bizarre. And we have another issue where, in the past, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, is that there's this confusion between Jared as attacking me protecting my children. No, actually, I never have. I have never had any discrepancies with parents or people protecting their children. For good reason. Now, what I'm attacking is this issue of self-righteousness. Well, they're my kids, and because they're my kids, I can never be wrong. I have to go with my gut instinct. And what would your gut instinct be? Well, I really don't know you all that well. Gee, what a coincidence. The crap that you're getting from all these other people, you also don't know all that well. So why would you be convinced by someone that you don't know all that well about someone else like myself that you don't really know all that well, and you think you're justified? And that is the howdy-doody solution, and wipe your hands clean. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but you are incorrect. Parents can be wrong. And Jared, you have nothing to say. Wait until you have kids of your own. I hear that a lot too. No, I understand. I don't have children. Of course, I don't have children. But I have common sense, which is something that most parents don't have. And I have nothing against protecting children or child protection as a whole. But what I'm saying is, and I'm not attacking child protection, I'm attacking the self-righteousness of a lot of these people. Well, they're my kids, and because they're my kids, I'm right, and I can't be wrong. Well, I'm sorry, but you can be wrong, and you are wrong. And that's what I'm going after, is the self-righteousness element that gets thrown into the mix. I'm not impressed by it. I've never been impressed by self-righteousness or people who just think they're, better than everybody. They're on top of the world and everybody else is beneath them. It's this common attitude that we have with people who they don't like to be proven wrong, and they think because it's their kids, sure, they're your kids. So even with that being said, why then would you listen to someone else that you don't know regarding your kids? See, it just doesn't make any sense. And to any outside observer, it shouldn't make sense to them either. But there I go again, pointing out the obvious and flapping my big fat advocate mouth. It's all right. That's fine. I don't have a problem pointing out the obvious. But anyway, I have been here for about 40 minutes. I put my glasses on. I've been here for a little over 40 minutes. It's been great. I've all that aside, that little ranting, I've been doing great. I've been, like I said, I'm staying busy. I'm writing poetry, and I talk to my friends every once in a while through text messaging or email, or I even Skyped with Jessica Camden. He was still depressed and upset because I had to come home, but he'll be okay. He'll be fine. So it's been busy for me. It's been a busy life, but it's good to stay busy and stay focused. And I've been visiting with family. I was at my uncle's house on Friday, and he lives just in Chesaning there. It was all right. I was at my grandpa's house. Dad was there. My brother was here last night. My niece Angel, she's still staying with us. So I've just been really super on the go. And for a while, I had some issues with sleeping where I would sleep during the day and stay up all night. So I went to Flint. I went on that little joyride to Lapeer and Flint on Friday to correct the sleeping problem, because if I'm awake, if I'm driving, I'm awake, I'm alert. And although I'm tired, I stay focused. So I got that all straightened out. I get tired at, I think, 9 o'clock. I get tired around 8 o'clock. I go to bed about maybe 9, 10, depending. And then I sleep all throughout the night, and I'm awake at 6 o'clock. I woke up shortly after 6 o'clock this morning. So that was, that worked out fine. And that's the reason I went on that little joyride. But anyway, it's awful funny that, I've had people tell me that, oh, Jared, you're being investigated by the FBI. Really? I wouldn't have gotten on a plane if that were the case, and I wouldn't have come back to Michigan, where I live. If I'm being investigated by the FBI or what have you, which it's so stupid, and it's preposterous. If I'm being investigated by anyone, first of all, they wouldn't have allowed me to get on an aircraft, and second of all, I would have stayed where I was. I wouldn't have returned back to my home state of Michigan. Again, another obvious, people, I would love to go back to a time, if the time ever existed, which I'm not so convinced that it did, but I would love to go to a time where people use both sides of their heads. And I'm speaking to a broad audience, anybody who's watching this. Yeah, we have social media, sure. A lot of people find convenience in it. I find it to be more inconvenient than convenient because of what I just stated a short time ago. There's no boundaries, there's no limits, there's no consequences, there's no penalties. It's a free-for-all. People can just go on, say and do whatever they want. Facebook and Twitter, they try to do as much policing of these issues as possible, but when it comes to gossip and drama and this, that, and the other, especially gossip, well, people have a freedom of speech. That's true. And I don't want to trample over anyone's rights to freedom of speech. But we're missing something important, and that is, yes, we all have rights. We all are granted rights. Freedom of speech is one of them, which is protected by the United States Constitution. People like to reference this as a way to avoid responsibility for the words that they say, and that we've been down this rabbit hole any number of ways in this country. That was a hot button issue for quite some time, and still is. I think it hasn't totally and completely petered out, but it's been bandied about enough. And yes, you have a right to talk, to express your thoughts. You have the freedom of speech. However, there are consequences to some of the things you say and do. Your actions will always speak louder than your words. And social media, when in combination with people who like to start problems, they love to cause drama and create problems and spread gossip. In addition to those, and then you have people who just willingly believe things, and it's total and complete ignorance to just believe something because someone said it. It's not a good combination. I was on social media so people would know who I was, so people would understand who I am, what I'm about, what I like to do. I come in peace. I've never been in trouble with the law ever in my life. I try to keep it civil, but I also have breaking points. No one ever notices the good things you do. They never do. I mean, you have to, it's almost like you have to do something extravagant. Like you have to be front page news, you have to be breaking news, the top story on the local 6 o'clock report. You have to do something extravagant and enormous, and we all have this need to be heard. That's all of us. We all want to be heard. We all want to be loved and accepted and appreciated. That goes hand in hand with the pediatric cancer group that I have long since identified with, because there's people who are in this, they put their heart into it, their heart and soul, like I have. I'm not concerned about, I'm not concerned with popularity. I'm not concerned with being on a front page of a newspaper or a headliner on the 6 o'clock report. I don't care about any of that. Although I do have friends in broadcast journalism. I have lots of friends in broadcast journalism. But there are people who they cannot live without, they cannot get through the day without being put on a pedestal. And when you use sick children to do so, that's where I have an issue. That's where I draw a line. You don't get to use childhood cancer or this group or this which you think it appears as exclusive. It's not exclusive. You don't get to use this group to make up for what you weren't when you were in high school, and what you weren't when you were a child, and what you weren't when you were, here or there in life. You don't get to use a sick child to profit. You don't get to use a sick child to boost your ego, to make yourself popular and famous and known to everybody. That's not what this is about. A lot of us, all of us I should say, those of us who are directly affected, we didn't ask to be put in that, and we cannot ask to not be a part of it. Because once you're affected by it, that's it. With me, now next March will be 30 years since my diagnosis with Wilms tumor. And there's never going to be a life for me where I will never know what childhood cancer is. And again, there's people who also say, well, you don't remember it, and, how can you have any emotional appeal to it? Well, I do. And, irrespective of the fact that I remember it or I don't, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. There's all kinds of there's mountains of evidence saying that this happened. And I can go right to my pediatric oncologist who still works in Lansing, and he's got all my information. He's got the folder and all the consent forms that my parents had to sign for blood transfusion and chemo and radiation, the whole 9 yards. So you don't get to use this group to make yourself look like a hero. Because I'm telling you, the real heroes are those warriors who are fighting every day for their lives. They're my heroes. Sure, when I was a kid, I loved Batman, Robin. I used to love watching all the superheroes like Darkwing Duck. For those of you who grew up in the 90s, I used to watch Darkwing Duck. I had my superheroes. We all had our superheroes, but when I got older, I realized the real superheroes are those little warriors fighting for their lives every single day. And I was even thinking about making a little video specifically for the warriors, make it child-friendly, and, I would love to do something like that. I would love to do something nice for the kids like that. But for me, I don't care about popularity. I don't care if I'm front page news. I don't care if I'm on the 6 o'clock report. I don't care. My only goal is to educate, to inspire, and to just be an outlet for people who need to talk and say, I don't know what to do, I'm scared. And my dad has even offered to be a voice because he can tell you things that he went through with me. And my dad has offered to be a voice and say, please don't be afraid to reach out. And but my dad, God love him, he goes around and he tells everybody what I do, being an advocate for childhood cancer. He says, I'm so proud of my son. He does so much to help the kids, and he does lots of wonderful things for the kids. And that's really, that's all I want to do. I just want to share my story and, like I said, offer the hope and the inspiration and perhaps maybe some education, because education is key, especially in this particular group of people. This, it's important to be educated and to have empathy and sympathy and to understand what's really going on, at least try to understand. Because if you're not directly affected, there's no way you could ever possibly truly personally understand it. And there's all kinds of confusion with that as well. We need to get the word out. We need to get people orientated to want to share, even if it's just a ribbon, like on Twitter. Retweet a ribbon or retweet a graphic I designed. Help get the word out. I mean, it's always important to educate people as often as possible. As a matter of fact, I was working on another graphic relating to survivor guilt, which is true, which is a real thing. But I got so tired and so exhausted last night that I just said, forget about it. I'll do it tomorrow after I've had my rest, and I'll figure something out. I had a good point and I wanted to put it in a graphic, and I was just so tired that I couldn't concentrate, so I just said, forget it. I'll do it tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's important, and I will talk about this forever and a day. That if you're going to be in this group, if you're going to call yourself an advocate, then be an advocate. And when I say be an advocate, what I'm saying is you have to be willing to not only educate, but you have to be willing to call people out, especially the frauds. I am so sick and tired of frauds being treated like heroes. I am so sick and tired of people not listening, and I'm really sick and tired of people not following the evidence where where the truth lies. I am so tired of lazy thinkers who are not intellectually honest with themselves or the people around them. I am so sick of it. You know what needs to be done, and you just want to passively accept things without investigating, without analyzing, without researching. Well, all these people said it, so they can't be wrong. Yes, they can. If they have not demonstrated the validity of the claim they're making, if they have not been able to demonstrate or provide evidence of the claim they're making, how could you possibly confirm if something is true if you haven't been able to demonstrate it? There's nothing to inject into it to make it true or to believe it. And what happens is when these people, these problem people who like to start gossip and of course the trolls, what they do is they like to modify the model of the story that they had come up with originally. And when I point out and expose the flaws, and when I catch people in an intellectual trap where they have to then agree with me and acknowledge that they're wrong, they want to modify the model to the point where, okay, well, Jared's going to talk about this, and we're going to try to stay one step ahead of him every time. You can try in any number of ways, but it's always going to come out where you are incorrect and you are being dishonest, because until such time that you have any kind of evidence to provide, to show, then no one should believe you. And instead of just believing what someone has to say and being convinced by this, here's an idea. Why don't you come to me? I'm not a hard person to find. It's that simple. It's that simple. There's no. It should be a home run. It should be easy as pie. To understand that people like to start gossip and cause problems. That's it. But anyway, I'm rambling again. So yeah, it's that simple. There's so much more I could probably talk about, but I don't want your eyes to glaze over, and I don't want you to start bleeding from the eardrums. So I guess I'll just end it here. I've been here for about an hour now. About 56, 57 minutes, maybe 58. Yeah, so I officially have run out of things to say. But that's okay. That's all right. I got to get going anyway. I don't know what's going to be happening today. I know it's supposed to be 87 degrees. Today it's going to be a hot and muggy day. It's going to be hot and muggy for a good bulk of the week. We are in a slight risk area for severe thunderstorms today here in Michigan, so all of my Michigander friends, keep your eyes to the skies. Be conscious of weather conditions changing. Stay on top of the weather reports, and just be careful if you have anything to do outside, and stay hydrated in the heat. It's going to be super hot today. The humidity is what gets you. It's not. Oh, sorry, bumped the mic. It's not so much the hot air. So it's the humidity, because everything gets sticky and your clothes will stick to you. You sweat, and it's hazy and hot, humid. So just be good and be careful out there. Yeah, be good. You be mindful. You be a good boy, and you be a good girl. I don't know what my plans are today. Like I said, I was invited to Lansing to a birthday party, but I don't know if I'm going to go or not. I haven't decided yet. I might go just to get out of the house and just to see Lansing, because I haven't been to Lansing since I've been back from New York. Dad and Amy are still asleep. I don't know what else to talk about. I am officially stumped. I have hit a cul-de-sac in what I want to discuss. I could talk a little bit more about my visit with Camden, yeah, I'll do that. I think I'll do that. So Camden has, it's a replica of the old Super Nintendo, the game, the machine, but it has the games, the Super Nintendo games. It's built into the console, and the controllers are still the same. The paddles are still the same, but all of the games are inside of the console. You don't need the cartridges like we used to when we were growing up. No need for the cartridges anymore. So I was playing Super Mario World with Yoshi. Camden and I were playing. It was 2-player, and we were just having a blast. I showed him some secret spots on Super Mario World. I had, because he didn't know there were different colored Yoshis, and I explained to him, yeah, there are different. Well, there's green and there's blue and red and yellow. So there's 4 different Yoshis. I'm not sure if there's any other color Yoshi. There might be, but I not that I'm aware of. And I was unlocking like I said, I was unlocking the secret, whatever on Super Mario World. There's all kinds of secrets, and it's a challenge trying to find them all. But it's a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the time with them. And we were just having. I mean, I'd be sitting on the couch and I would be chatting with his parents, and Camden he'd put a pillow like on my lap, and he would kick back. He'd put his head on the pillow, and he'd be kicked back on the couch. It's like, okay, that's all right. We're buddies, I don't mind. I don't have too much to say about it. And Jeremy and Jessica were kind of getting after the kids, but Jared doesn't want you crawling all over him. Yeah, they're just kids. I mean, maybe I'm a little more lax when it comes to children. I'm a little more flexive when it comes to kids. They want to play, or they want to crawl all over me. They want to just be goofy and silly. I'm not bothered by that. I mean, they're kids. My cousins do that. I have lots of little cousins. When I go visit them, they want to sit on my lap. I mean, they literally fight over me. This is no joke. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. They literally fight over me. Like if we're all eating supper, I want Jared to sit next to me, and they will literally throw a fit about it. And it's like, children, please, I can sit in the middle, and I can have one of you on each side of me. Or if we all eat at the coffee table in the living room, we can all gather around the coffee table, and we can all join one another there and eat our food. So, I mean, the kids literally fight over me, which is kind of flattering in a way. But, I mean, it's like, my gosh, kids, just relax. You all can sit next to me. It's not a problem. I don't bite. I'm not harmful. But they're like, stop crawling. He doesn't want you crawling all over him. They're just kids. They have energy, and they, that's how children show their love, is because they want to be around you. They want to crawl all over you. I go to my brother's house in Saginaw, and sometimes his niece and nephew will be there. I'll be sitting on the couch, and then they want to play. Okay, let's play. They'll crawl all over me. They'll get on my shoulders. And when I say crawl all over me, they get on my shoulders, or they want me to flip them, or they want me to do whatever it is they want me to do. Like swing them around, or flip them, or put them on my shoulders, or play horsey with them. They want me to do something. They want me to play. They want me to be, they want me to interact with them, which is not a problem. I'm not as young as I used to be, but, I'll still get down and play with the kids. I mean, I'm a big kid at heart, I think. So it's not a problem for me. It's just, you got to have patience, and you got to have the energy. The older I get, I'm starting to understand what my parents have been saying, that the older you get, your energy shifts, and it's not as prominent as it used to be when you were younger. I've even noticed, like when I write in my journal, my handwriting is changing. Like I have a certain style of handwriting, and I notice that there's been some change in the way I do my handwriting. I never write in cursive. I tried to write in cursive in my earlier days of writing journals, and I used to write in pencil, which was a bad idea because graphite smears on paper over time, and yeah, bad move. So now I just write with ink, and I don't write in cursive. I print. Things change over time. I don't know. I'm jumping topics now, but yeah, I just, when I was there, it was, the kids were monkeying around, having fun, playing, goofing off. I'm more lax, I think, with kids. You have to get down to their level, and you just have to, do what they like to do. It's, like when I was in New York, I was at Jeremy and Jessica's, and I was on the floor with Camden playing with his cars. We were racing his cars, his Hot Wheel cars. It's not something I do a lot with kids. I don't race cars, but provided that I had flown that distance and not knowing if I would ever see Cam anytime soon, again, I wanted to make the most out of the visit as I could. Now, when I'm here in Michigan and I go and visit relatives, and they have small children, they want me to get down with them and play and whatever, I'll play with them, but there are just certain things I don't do, like playing with cars. I don't typically play with cars. And most assuredly, I've hardly ever seen my cousins with toy cars, with Hot Wheels or anything. They're usually outside playing, or they're doing something else, getting into trouble. I don't know. But it doesn't mean that I love them any less. I mean, I love being around my family, and I love being around people who love having me around, and I don't want to be, I don't want to feel as if my being present is an inconvenience or like I'm cramping their style. I don't want to be that person. I want to be there with the intentions that they want me there, and that I know I'm loved and I'm accepted and I'm appreciated, and I don't want to barge my way into people's lives. And I kind of get that impression being an advocate for childhood cancer with a lot of the families. I feel sometimes that maybe I am barging myself or forcing myself, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to, by all means. I don't mean to be intrusive, and I don't mean to overstay my welcome and push my welcome. But that's just the thing about childhood cancers. I'm so passionate about what I do, and I have a great deal of compassion for the families who are going through what they're going through. It's just horrific, and it's a nightmare. And so, and this is all coming from personal experience. I'm not some shoddy dilettante of an advocate. Which, whoa, chill for a minute. That's my dog. He wants outside. I'll let you out in a minute. Or have Daddy let you out. But I'm not some, I am a dilettante when it comes to, say, like pediatric oncology. I'm not a professional. I only go by what I know. And, yeah, I agree. But it's one of those things. I don't go around pretending to be a professional when I'm not a professional. And I guess that'll conclude the Sunday video update. Because Barkley says it's time to go outside. So I guess that was my point. But anyway, I got to get this dog outside because he's not going to let me hear the end of it if I don't. So, okay, I hear you. Come on, buddy. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much for watching this week and for joining me for another installment of the Sunday video update. I will see you next month because this is the last Sunday in August. And don't forget that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Don't forget that. Please make a mental note of that. September is Pediatric Awareness Month or Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, all throughout the month of September. And at the end of my video updates throughout the month of September, I will make that, I will put that reminder up that September's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, okay? So I'm out of here, and I will see you all next week. Same bear time, same bear channel. Mwah. Much love to all of you. Thanks for watching. Peace out, and have a wonderful week. Take care.